So I have a story here that really highlights the importance of the media. Trump was so happy with coverage of Dem debt deal, he called Pelosi and Schumer to gush. What? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Trump got together with Chuck Schumer recently, and what they did is they ironed out a bill, short-term bill, but it was for disaster relief funding. It was for a 90-day extension of the day-to-day funding of the government, and it was for the debt ceiling. Now, for the debt ceiling, the conservatives like to huff and puff when they're not in power, and they love to say, oh, debt ceiling, it's terrible, we're not going to raise it, why should we raise it? We should stop spending this money that we don't have. That's what they say, at least when the Democrats are in control. But the reality is the debt ceiling is about money that we already spent. So the debt ceiling is just saying, are we going to pay back the debts we already accrued or not? So if you say no to that, you spark a global depression. It's not a question. That's what would happen. So under the Democrats, they always make this big stink about, we got to get our spending under control, and they act like that's not what the debt ceiling is. Under Republicans, they're more reasonable because they say, well, we're not going to, if we spark a worldwide depression under a Republican president, then the Republican president's going to be blamed, our party's going to be blamed, and we're fucked. So they want to make a deal on the debt ceiling under Republican presidents. Well, it was Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader, who got together with Trump, and they got a short-term raise of the debt ceiling. And there's also talks now about eliminating the debt ceiling because we have to come back to this every couple of years to raise it to try to remind the world, hey, it's okay, we're going to pay back our debts. So they're talking about maybe eliminating the debt ceiling, Trump and Democrats. They did a short-term debt ceiling deal, and they got disaster relief funding and day-to-day funding for the government. So it's a bipartisan thing that's actually not horrendous for once. Usually when something's bipartisan, they're agreeing to serve Wall Street and screw you over. But it's just like a minor victory, for just kind of keeping everything going normally and doing some disaster relief funding. Well, this is the first positive press that Trump's gotten in a long time. So as he sits there and watches cable news, which he does all fucking day, he's like, oh, tremendous, believe me, oh my God, everybody loves this. Trump and the Democrats working together, unbelievable. So he's getting positive coverage, he loves it. So he calls up Schumer. He's like, hey, Chucky boy, we're getting tremendous coverage, unbelievable coverage. I have to tell you. So this is great. I love this. So think about that. Here you have the first little bipartisan thing that's actually not crazy that they did together. And Trump loves it because he loves the media's reaction. That goes to show you how powerful the media is and why they need to act responsibly and they need to do their job properly. Because think about the last time Trump got, fawning praise from the media. You remember when that was? When he bombed the Syrian government. That's the last time. Remember when he bombed the airport? You had, I think it was Van Jones who said, he became president tonight. Excuse you? So-called left commentators, so-called, progressives were like, oh, yes, this is Trump rising to the situation. You're not a serious person unless you start bombing targets and bombing people that haven't attacked us. So when he attacked the Syrian airport, which, by the way, is de facto acting as the Air Force of ISIS, because the Syrian government is fighting ISIS, when he did that, that's when the media, loved him. And by the way, later on, it was some scandal for some bullshit that he did. And then what did he do? He bombed Syria again. Why did he do that? Seemingly randomly out of nowhere, he bombed Syria again because there was another scandal going on, and to try to get the praise from the media and distract from the scandal, you bomb Syria again, because the last time you bombed Syria, you got fawning praise. So what kind of a presidency do you expect when one of the few times the media starts giving the guy credit is when he starts furthering the empire and bombing random people. That's the problem with mainstream media, is that Trump, I mean, deep down, he's a man baby, he's a child, so he wants this approval, but it all depends on which audience he's in front of. Whenever he's in front of a rally audience, he'll say whatever the rally people want to hear, which is why he's more populist in front of rally audiences, and he talks more about, hey, let's not outsource, let's keep the jobs here, let's do an infrastructure bill, let's stop, wasting our money overseas. That's what he says in front of rally audiences. When he's in front of the establishment in his cabinet, and the generals, what do you want? You want more war? Tremendous. Let's do more war. Unbelievable. And then, for the media, when he's sitting there watching the media, he wants to do stuff that pleases them. So that's why he kept bombing Syria. And now that's why you can expect Chuck Schumer and Donald Trump to work together on some more things. Now, this is why the media is important, because if they give him the credit for the right things, well then, he'll get the feedback that he should get, and he might actually do some positive things. But this is also why the Democrats need to do the right thing in terms of bipartisan deals. Because, okay, so you get a little victory here. Wow, you got hurricane relief funding, and we didn't default on our fucking debt. Wow, that's a low bar right there. But this is why you got to have a Democratic Party that's unapologetically for populist ideas, because then you can hold him accountable to his own fucking words on the campaign trail. So, for example, Trump argued, what was it? We covered the story. We gave you all of his quotes, at least on 7 different occasions. Trump argued for Medicare for all. So why not bring up his own quotes to him and say, Mr. President, I totally agree with you. Make him think it's still his idea, and he's the one that came up with it. Hey, Mr. President, we were going through some of your old stuff, and we found, you made a really great point, sir, when you said that Canada has a fantastic healthcare system, and we should copy it. Scotland has a great healthcare system, and we should copy it. We saw your comments when you were on David Letterman's show, or Jay Leno's show, and you said your friend got hurt, went and got help, and you didn't have to pay anything. We want to make a system like that in the United States of America. Mr. President, we can't wait to work with you on your own idea. If you had an opposition party that knew what the fuck they were doing, Trump railed against trade, so why not, again, phrase getting out of certain trade deals as a win and as him doing his thing. I mean, he killed TPP, but now he's slipping provisions of TPP into NAFTA. But if you had an opposition party that knew the right way to massage his ego and to get him to do our policies, well, then it'd be wins across the board. Ro Khanna leads the way on this front because he can frame things in a way that make conservatives go, oh, you know what? That actually makes perfect sense. Like, for example, a living wage. You have to frame that as these multinational corporations, giant multinational corporations, keep getting welfare checks. Look at this. Why are we letting these corporations be welfare queens, and then the taxpayers have to pick up the slack when poor workers go to government programs to make ends meet? So why not force the corporations to stop being moochers? Bring up these ideas, bring them up to Trump, make him think it's his idea. Do your bipartisan bill, which he likes now because he's getting positive feedback from the media on it, and then you can actually get some shit accomplished. But unfortunately, all these pieces are not going to stay together. It's all going to fall apart because the media is not going to praise him for the right things. They're going to keep praising him for stuff like bombing Syria. And the Democrats are not going to effectively push for real populist ideas. They're not going to push for Medicare for all. They're not going to push for free college. They're not going to push for a living wage. So you're not going to get Trump to want to do a bipartisan deal on issues that are really important and that could be a victory for the American people. So this is why the media is so important. This is why having an effective opposition party is so important. And unfortunately, in both cases, it ain't good. So we're stuck with Donald Trump mostly getting praise for crazy shit like bombing countries that didn't attack us.